don't know of any community that feels that they have adequately supported all of their infrastructure needs. Everybody's playing catch-up. Our infrastructure is deteriorating all across the country.
Funding is just not keeping up with the need. Preventive maintenance is not being done the way it should.
We're spending only about 1/3 of what we actually need to spend to preserve and maintain our existing infrastructure and to expand it to meet our needs.
All you have to do is look at the bridge collapse in Minnesota, and you can see it can happen anywhere.
The United States, if it's going to be the prominent country in the world, we've got to invest in our transportation infrastructure.
The overall health and vitality of communities is directly tied to the health of the transportation system.
We're a global economy right now, and we need to compete worldwide. And moving goods and moving people is really important in that process.
Quality of life depends on being able to know how long it takes to get from one point to the other, and it's just harder and harder to do.
Travel time to and from work is increased significantly all over our nation and our metropolitan areas.
Traffic congestion, because we're not building new roads and we're adding people, it's starting to have an impact.
$78 billion last year is what it costs the American public to be tied up in congestion. That's real money.
It's hard to conceive someone at the end of their life suggesting that I sure wished I would have had more time to sit in some traffic jams.
If you have streets that are in bad condition, you're going to have more accidents.
Deteriorating roadways result in broken axles and flat tires. Deteriorating bridges that fail catastrophically result in far more significant public safety issues.
When I have to tell the fire chief that he can't take a fire truck across a certain bridge because it can't handle that, that impacts his response time.
More than 1/4 of the nation's bridges are in need of some form of upgrading.
Things wear out, particularly when you exceed the capacity of what they were designed for. And we need to invest in them so that we can ensure that the next generation has the same quality of life that we do.
In the United States, local highways make up a significant portion of the roadway system. Most trips generate or end on local roadways.
I think it goes without saying that local government certainly needs some proportionate share of the decision process.
The way that funding happens right now, you have to ask many, many years in advance and get a certain road or a certain bridge on a list. And you decide that something's a higher priority. It's very, very difficult right now to get state and federal leaders to let you switch your priorities.
Most roadway projects now take somewhere between 15 and 20 years to implement. So we're looking at significant cost increases just due to inflation with some of the red tape we have to go through to get projects done.
We've got to look for innovative solutions. Congestion pricing. You have a toll road and you charge people more to use that during congested periods of the day. Public-private partnerships, or commonly referred to as P3. We haven't had a significant increase in the gasoline fuel tax since the 1990s.
We've got to talk to the politicians in Washington, D.C. and say, you need to fund these huge infrastructure projects.
Our lawmakers have got very difficult decisions to make. We're trying to help the public understand what quality of life is brought to them through their transportation infrastructure.
And there's really a lot of good benefits to just spending money on infrastructure improvements. It's estimated that $1 billion investment in roadways produces about 35,000 jobs.
People coming in to invest in a community, they're going to look at your infrastructure and say, do I want to come to this community?
It's not all about highways anymore. There are transit needs, there are pedestrian, bicycle, other types of needs. And of course, I think we need to deal with the environmental aspects of our network.
Since the 1980s, we've invested in 2% of our gross domestic product. in infrastructure. China's investing 9% of their gross domestic product in infrastructure, and India is investing 6%.
This business as usual is not going to keep our nation's transportation infrastructure where it needs to be. And we need the federal government to help pull all us together, local and state governments, to create a new direction and a new day in transportation funding.
We'll be judged by what we leave to our successors. We've got to take care of what's given to us, we've got to improve it and pass it along to future generations.